All right, so we're going over the 10:30 Monday practice here. All right, I'm going to go through all of these. So if you just need to look at one or two, you can kind of skip around. I'm going to go left to right on the rows here. Okay, so we have 18% of 34. Move the decimal over 2. All of these don't have any real weird stuff on the decimals here. So this is just 0.18 times 34. All right. So remember that with decimals, the number of decimal places in the problem is how many are in the answer. So that just means 2 here. All right, so there's 32, 24, 27. All right, and 34. All right. 1, 2 decimal places in the problem. So 1, 2 in the answer. So we have 6.12, 6 and 12 hundredths. All right, so that's going to be I. So those of y'all who are newer in the class, you will want to point out to you the reason I use these sometimes when it's a skill that we need to do a few more problems with is you can check your answer on these, and if the answer is not making sense, then you've messed up. Okay, so there's 6.12. That's I right there. All right, number 2 or O is going to be 27% of 81. Move the decimal over 2. So we have 81 times 0.27. All right. So there's 7 and 56 here. All right. Then we have 0, 2, and 16. 7, 8, 11, and 2. 1, 2 decimal places in the problem, so 2 in the answer, 21.87. All right, so 21.87. All right, so that's going to be O here. I think that's the only one I see. All right, 85% of 74. Again, move the decimal over 2, so it's 0.85 times 74. 0.85 times 74. All right, so 74 times 0.85. And remember, because of commutative property, it doesn't matter which one's on the top or the bottom here when you multiply or add. All right, so it's 20, 35, 37. We have 32, 56, 59. Add those up, and we got 0, 9, 12, and 6. 1, 2 decimal places in the problem, so 2 in the answer. So we have 62.90. Now, I do want to point out to you that that should look right here. You see how it says 62.9. Remember that when you have a 0 at the end of the decimal, that one's not really meaningful. Okay, so I just showed you how it was on the problem. You see how that's the way the answer is going to work. All right, 54% of 90. All right, so we move the decimal over 2.54 times 90. Remember what I said on the last problem. The order doesn't matter when you multiply or add. So since that gets me down to 1 digit, I'd rather do it this way. All right, so 36, there's 45, 48. Now 2 decimal places in the problem, so 2 in the answer. All right, so 4.86. Wait a second. I don't think I did that right. Oh, wait, that's 90. My bad. It was 2 decimal places in the problem. I just wrote the wrong number down. All right, so it's 48.60. 48.60, or just 48.6. So that's A. Probably a few of those. Common letter there. Playing Wheel of Fortune. All right. That's it. All right, next one. T has 33%, 0.33 times 360. All right, 0.33 times 360. So 360 times 0.33. All right, 0, we have 18. We have 9, we have 10. And then we're going to have the same thing on the next row, only we have to move it over 1. All right. like this. All right, so that will give us 0.8811, 2 decimal places in the problem, so 2 in the answer. 118.8, and that answer is there. Good news. So 118.8 is going to be T. All right, and there's a T there, and a T here. And yep, that's it. All right, next one. I need to make a bigger eraser here because it's erasing taking too long. All right, next one. We got 62% of 75. Move the decimal over 2.62 times 75. So 75 times 0.62. 2 times 5 is 10, 14, 15. 0. Then be careful with this one because we have the 0 for the placeholder. Then 6 times 5 is 30. Be careful with that. If you made a mistake there, that might be one reason why on the multiply. Then 0, 5, 6, 4, 1. 2 decimal places in the problem, so 2 in the answer. So 46.50 or just 46.5, which is a reasonable answer. Another thing to be thinking about is reasonableness of your answers. So, like, for example, on the next one, 4% of 56. Well, that's less than 10%. 10% would be 5.6. So it's got to be a fairly small number for the next one. So E, 46.5. E, where are you? E, where are you? E? E. And E. Okay. Next one, we have 4%. So be careful with this one. We move it over 2. So that's 0.04. So 56 times 0.04. Okay. Now that's 24. That's 20. That's 22. 2 decimal places in the problem, so 2 in the answer. So we have 2.24 for U. All right. Let's see, 2.24. Where are you? There you are. That's a U. My handwriting's bad. And I think that's the only one I see. All right. Similar one for M here. Okay, so we have 6% of 140. So you got to make sure you move the decimal over 2 places, right? Moving away here, so 0.06 times 140. 140 times 0.06. 0. We have 24. And we have 6 plus 2 is 8. 2 decimals in the problem, so 2 in the answer. 8.40 or just 8.4. That extra 0 doesn't matter. All right, so that is M for 8.4. All right, 8.4, another M. I don't see one anyway. All right, next we have 12% of 625. 12% of 625. So we're going to move the decimal over 2. All right, we're moving away from the percent, so it's moving left. Obviously, if we're going from decimal to the percent, we move it towards the percent sign twice. So 625 times 0.12. There's your 10. There's your 5. And there's your 12. 0. And then 625. 0, 10. There's a 5. And there's a 7. 2 decimal places in the problem, so 2 in the answer. That's convenient. That's the whole number 75. All right. So 75 there. And that is G. All right, right there. And that's it. All right, 5% of 134. Same idea here. Move it over 2. So you got a 0 there. So 134 times 0.05. 134 times 0.05. So 4 times 5 is 20. 5 times 3 is 15, and 2 is 17. And there's your 6. 1, 2 decimal places in the problem, so 2 in the answer. 6.70 or just 6.7 will work there. So that's R. So R for 6.7 and R right there for 6.7. Okay. All right, on the next row, we have L is going to be 90% of 44. So that 90%, when we make it a decimal, it's going to be 9/10 or 90/100, right? So 0.9 or 0.90, doesn't matter. So 44 times 0.9. That's the way I prefer to do it because it's one less row. There's 36, and 36 plus 3 is 39. Had you done it like this, you would have another 0 right here, right? Either way, the answer is going to be 39.60 or 39.6. Okay. All right, 39.6. There's your L right there. Okay. Also, if you're wondering, why did I give you a lot of these? Because this is something that comes up a ton in 7th grade too. It's very common when talking about taxes. It's how you figure out tax, for example, on things, right? Like sales tax. All right, so 0.09 times 17. All right, so 7 times 9 is 63. 9 times 1 is 9, and 6 is 15. 2 decimal places in the problem, so 2 in the answer. 1.53. Now think about that. Does that make sense? 9% less than 10% of 17. Yeah, 10% would be 1.7. Okay, so S is 1.53. All right, I would expect to find a few of those. S being a very common letter. That's a weird looking 1.53. Pretty sure that's what it is though. Okay. Next one, we have 48% of 20. Okay, so that's 0.48. I'm going to put the 0.48 on the top because then that gives me only one row of multiply. So then that's 0, 16, and 9. 1, 2 decimal places in the problem, so 2 in the answer. So that's 9.6. 9.60 or 9.6. So that's your P right there. P. P. And that appears to be it. All right, 70% of 69. So that's going to be 0.70 or just 0.7. 69 times 0.7. So that will give us 9 times 7 is 63. 7 times 6 is 42, and 6 is 48. 1 decimal in the problem, so 1 in the answer, 1 decimal place. If you had a 0 here, you'd have a 0 there, okay, because then it would be 2. Either ways, you have 48.3. 48.3. So we have an X. There's an X. Surely there's not more than one X. And there's not. All right, then 2% of 800. This is a bit more of an odd one. So it's 0.02 times 800. Okay, so 0.02 or 200ths times 800. 800 times 0.02, 0, 0, 16. 2 decimal places in the problem, so 2 in the answer. So that's the whole number 16. 16.00 is just 16. So H for 16. H and H and H. Okay, I think that's it. All right, down to the last two now. Some doctors recommend no more than 30% of your daily calories from fat. Following the recommendation, if you eat 2,400 calories, what's the maximum number that should come from fat? So 30%, just notice here, we have 30% of 2,400, right? So that's going to be 0.3 times 2,400. Okay, so this is, I just have just a couple of word problems today. So 0, 0, 12, and 7. So 720 is the maximum that should come from fat. So 720, and that's going to be N for 720. N, and N. All right, and I can guess that the last one's going to be 140 actually. All right, now this one has a distractor number in it. When training for a fight, Rocky tries to maintain a heart rate that's 80% of his maximum. He has a resting heart rate of 60 and a maximum heart rate of 175. So that 60 is not needed. What's his training heart rate? Well, it's 80% or 0.8 times 175. So it's going to be 40, 56, 60. 8 times 1 is 8, and 6 is 14. So indeed it is 140 is his rest training heart rate. So for C, we're going to have 140. All right, so we have a chimpanzee is the when you cross a monkey with a flower. When you cross a baby with a computer, you get short circuits. And then you cross a penny from London with a hatchet, you get an English accent. Aha. Okay, so make sure you turn in your work. Hey, look, I did Christmas colors here. That's kind of funny. All right. So yeah, turn in your work here. I'm obviously concerned more with you showing the work and having where I can tell which problem is which. All right.